Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Peek Behind the Curtain. I'm your host, Nick Dahlhoff, and in today's episode, we are going to be going behind the scenes of the SMSU Drama Department production of Firebringer. Joining me today is the director of Firebringer and current SMSU student, Mary Jean Porter. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm very much looking forward to talking about this. My plan was to start this conversation a little after spring break of last semester. Then, some stuff happened.
We all know what happened.
Yeah, we all know what happened. Do we really need to talk about it? Yeah, let's remind people, Firebringer, why don't you give us a quick plot synopsis, kind of just to refresh our memory?
So Firebringer is the story of the first humans and how they discovered fire and what they do with it and the types of lessons they learn along the way with their discovery. And I like to think it's also about friendship and family.
Yeah, that's kind of the vibe I got from it as well. And it takes place in the prehistoric times, so it really is the discovery of fire and all that brings. And the other thing I kind of noticed was it was, to me at least when I watched it, it was also kind of a social commentary on how we as a society react whenever there's a new technology or a new invention. Our addiction to it, our gravitating to it right away and everything, which I thought was really interesting, considering how this is also kind of a vulgar comedy of a musical, really.
Oh, yes.
It's got some serious things to say all at the same time, which I thought was really great. But you directed this production, and you've done some onstage work as well. You've acted in a few plays. What kind of got you to make that leap from onstage to behind the stage?
It was kind of gradual, actually. My first biggest role that I could remember, I was in chorus for Les Miserables, and through that, just throughout the years of doing theater, I was just like, I want to help with that too. So it got from helping build the sets to actually helping with lighting and sound like I did for Firebringer. And currently, we'll get into this later, I am the stage manager for Peter and the Starcatcher. So moving to director just felt like the next level to kind of becoming a well-rounded theatrical person.
Yeah, the next challenge, so to speak, that the next level in the video game almost.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of the beginnings of the process. Obviously, when you're acting, kind of the first step is the auditioning role. But when you're doing more behind-the-scenes stuff, there are other things that lead up to that. What were some of the first things that were maybe even new to you, or some of the bigger challenges just starting out this production?
So the very first thing that I had to do took place the year prior. I had to actually pitch the show. So I had to go and it was kind of crazy how it all happened. I never actually intended to direct anything. I was signed up to take the class, and I was just on YouTube one day, and there was a new video from Team Star Kid, who I bought the rights from. And it was 2 days before, and they said, hey, the rights for Firebringer have been released. And so I was like, oh, I'll just put something together really quick and throw it out there. And the response was, since it was popular on TikTok and on YouTube, the response was overwhelmingly positive, although the professors were like, I've never heard of this show before. They're kind of unsure. So after it was pitched and after the drama club voted on having that for their spring semester show, I had to do a lot of research about the show and decide how I wanted to tell the story. So I spent a lot of time watching the show, listening to the music, reading the script. I was really fortunate to work with Nadine, and she made the process of obtaining the rights and talking to the company very, very smooth. Team Starkid was also very helpful. It was very, very fairly priced, considering most theater companies charge $200 for an accompaniment CD, and I think I paid about $800 for everything.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something along there. Don't quote me on that, but so after we got the hard facts out of the way, we moved into the audition process, and I had to go through and find which parts of the script I felt were challenging enough for an experienced actor, but enticing for the newer people who are trying to get their feet wet in theater. And then auditions were so much fun. Just watching all these people take these characters, no context given, just take these characters and run away with how they interpret it. It was super fun to watch. And then after auditions, we held our first read through, and then after our read through we had rehearsals, then we had our dress rehearsals, tech, and then a show. It moved so fast, but it felt like the whole process was a million years long.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I think it took about 3 months, two or 3 months of real like hard work, and then we were up.
Yeah, I want to go back to the audition process, though, quick. One question I have is, so you've been part of the drama department here for a couple of years now. A lot of these people auditioning are friends, colleagues. Did you find any challenge putting them into roles without maybe necessarily offending anybody? Or did you, how much of it was kind of like, because you knew these people, it was easier to put them into spots you needed to?
To be honest, I thought that a lot of the choices would be like, well, obviously this guy is going to be this. But when I got into it, I was just like, this isn't what that wasn't just, I guess my intuition was wrong, you know? So,
so even after all these years of knowing some of these actors, they were still kind of surprising you almost.
Yeah. Like, certain actors speak for certain characters really well, and the types of characters they want to play sometimes differ from the director's vision, but there were some choices that I hadn't even considered. Like, some of the ladies who came in audition, they were phenomenal. They came in and it was just, I knew that they had to be part of the show. Like, and I could say that for everyone that came and auditioned. It was really hard, and I don't think I offended anyone with the casting just because of the nature of the career, you know, nature of the profession. That's just how it is. Yeah. And a lot of the people who ended up not being in the show were working on the show anyway, so they got a little taste for it. It's
good to hear. So yeah, some of the challenges, obviously you were kind of new to the beginning part of it. Let's talk about some of the funny moments, just some highlights. Obviously, being the captain of a ship like this, it's got to bring some stress. So what were some of the moments that you were going through, either pre-production, during rehearsals, where you were like, okay, that's the reminder that this is worth it and this is the fun part of it?
The sight gags. So my good friend Brady, he played this character named Grant, and Grant is an outsider. And because he's an outsider, he's kind of the butt of the jokes. And sometime in the second act, he ends up losing both feet and his arm. And we were like, okay, how are we going to hide his feet and arm? And we just, the night of dress rehearsal, it was the first time we tried it. We gave him 3 pairs of socks, 2 black socks that were just ankle socks, and then knee-high socks to cover all the way up to his shoulder. And it was just watching all of that come together. Like, the first night we incorporated the duck that gets brutally thrown across the stage with the sound effect. It was glorious. And the very first, I was really nervous. The first read through, I was like, oh, what if everyone hates it? What if they want to not be in the show? But we got into reading the script, and we all had this type of like energy. Like, we all had this group think going on, and it reassured me. It made me feel like I had no worries and that I could trust my cast and my design team, which is the number one important thing that a director should be able to do. And
Yeah.
I was really fortunate with my team and with all of my mentors and with the cast. I couldn't have done it without any of them.
And with that, we are going to take a short intermission break here and talk about the next upcoming SMSU Theatre production, which is Peter and the Starcatcher. Now, Mary, correct me if I'm wrong, but like you said, you were doing some behind-the-scenes work on this one as well, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I am very fortunate to be the stage manager for this production.
Awesome. And can you give us kind of a plot synopsis? What are we looking at here?
So, this show really defines the characters of Peter Pan, but before they become their famous characters of Peter Pan. So it talks about Captain Hook and what he was doing before he was harassing a child, and what
You joke, but that's what he is doing.
you know, essentially him and a bunch of his friends. It's absurd to think about, but
they're pirates, people. We're not. It's not like we're bragging on the guy.
But the show is really charming because it has all of the magical elements of Peter Pan, and it has all of the fun that you remember from the original movie. And the show is based off of a novel of the same title, Peter and the Starcatcher, by David Barry and Ridley Pearson. And what I really enjoy about it is that it has a very classical feel, but it's very modern, and it has a very fast pace, which I think audiences can keep up with, and it holds interest very well. And throughout the whole story, I just want to learn more and more and more about these characters until the ending is so satisfying. It just wraps up all the loose ends, and it transitions into the original story very well.
Yeah, I've mentioned before, Peter Pan's one of my favorite Disney characters. I'm a huge fan of some of the original movies and everything. I'm really looking forward to seeing this origin story and seeing that the imagination and the magic of what kind of molded Peter Pan into what he is and what we know as him today. But yeah, some of the showtimes, the showtimes are coming up here pretty soon, in the early parts of November. Mary, why don't you let us know when and where can we see this?
So the performances are scheduled in the Fine Arts Theater from November 6th, 7th, 8th, 13th, and 14th at 7:30 p.m. and November 14th and 15th at 2 p.m.
And again, that is the main stage theater, and obviously because of the current pandemic, you want to make sure you get there early because seating will be limited. So make sure you mark those dates. That way, if you miss one or it fills up, you can hopefully get yourself to another showing here. Like I said, I'm super looking forward to it. I'm going to try my best to be there opening night, get it there as soon as possible. But also, and correct me if I'm wrong here, if you are an SMSU student and have an SMSU ID, you get in free, correct?
Yes, I believe there will be student free nights. I'm unsure what those dates are, but I know for sure there definitely will be.
So be on the lookout for those as well, and you aren't going to want to miss this show, especially in this time. We are looking for any sort of uplifting moments, any sort of magic and childish wonder we can bring into the world. I think this show is coming at the perfect time, really.
Me too. Part of me is glad we kind of waited until this semester.
That's also the other thing. This was supposed to be last spring's production, correct?
Yes, it was.
And but yeah, no, sometimes good things come to those who wait. So I'm hoping that's the case. I'm pretty sure that's going to be the case here.
Yeah.
And again, I'm looking forward to it. So again, November 6th, 7th, 13th, and 14th, and those are 7:30 showtimes, as well as matinees on the 14th and the 15th at 2 p.m. So be sure to check that out. Kind of hitting the ground running at the beginning, so then it was pretty consistent throughout the rest of the rehearsals then, that this was the right thing here. There was no kind of doubt in the cast minds or anything like that.
There were definitely times that were a bit more difficult. Like coming up to the show, we were just struggling with some of the newer songs that we had learned later in the rehearsal process, and combining that with the intense choreography that Aviana is a choreography genius. It was so just getting everything comfortable. Those created some difficult moments. One thing that I kind of swallowed my pride, and I wanted to work on the puppets by myself with no guidance because I thought I could do it. And those turned out to be I was really proud about Snarl. I wish I had added some better details about it, but if this was something that I could do over, I would definitely reach out to Sheila Tabaka, to Mike a bit more. I would reach out to more people just to help to better flesh out those characters. That created some inner turmoil for me, but when we put them on stage, it actually kind of fit quite nicely throughout the show. It's just my little perfectionist mind being like, why didn't I?
Yeah, it's the worst feeling is when, like, after the fact that all of a sudden, or even like 2 weeks after everything's done, like all of a sudden that idea will come to your head, like, duh, why didn't I do it this way? Like, exactly. So, yeah, you kind of already started talking about it, but some of the general rehearsal vibe. What were some of the things you learned about yourself as a director as opposed to acting, do you think?
Acting kind of felt like I really, not to say that you don't have to work at it, but acting kind of comes a bit more naturally, playing the character does, like diving headfirst into this unknown role and then knowing everything about it. Well, I had to do that with every single character and every single location and every single song. And I learned that researching more about the show was something that I really, really enjoyed. But as I would go through the show, I would find myself ignoring some glaringly obvious hints about the story. You know, I would focus so much on, well, this needs to be this because it's in this, like this, and that. And I would forget, oh, it's about family, you know? So going back and making sure that everything is covered, you know, just making sure that I know the story thoroughly enough that I'm able to convey it to my cast and crew and design team. But I felt that all in all, like going through that process and kind of learning that, oh, I pay too much attention, that I don't pay attention. It helped me to better improve my tactics when it comes to researching and to directing.
Yeah, was there any moments also where, like, as you were directing, kind of all of a sudden things would click that past directors have done to you that maybe you didn't understand at first, but then you're like, oh, I could see why they were thinking this way? Or because even you kind of mentioned, like, as an actor, you're looking at one, like, singular route on the highway that you're pertaining to. As a director, you're looking at the full interstate almost, trying to direct all that traffic. So what were some of those moments like? Where...
So, to be honest, I thought upstaging was a myth. You know, how you would have an actor in the background being more interesting than the character up front. I always thought, well, they're up front.
It doesn't happen.
It's the audience's fault if they miss it. But I was really like, oh, there's some, I need to tone down some things. And I learned kind of early on that I needed to get better at creating more dynamic blocking, you know, creating more interesting scenes. So I had to kind of call back on some other productions that I was fortunate to be involved in and think about how did they group up 8 people and make it look interesting? Like, how did they split everything up so that way they know they're part of one thing, but they're not in a tight little circle, you know? So that's when I really kind of had to call upon my past directors from times before and kind of think about their impact. But one sort of technical thing was I had a director say that when you add kind of see, just that when you say or ah before you use the. Now I'm trying not to say it. When you use it before.
It really is one of those things that you do not realize how often people say Like, I'm probably going to go through this recording and cut like 20 from me and you.
50,
and nobody ever realizes how much they say it.
But it breaks up the flow of the dialogue when you do those things. So making sure that everything was really fast and sharp and flowed smoothly. It was a challenge, but we ended up getting there, and it created a really smooth, cohesive story.
Yeah, something like that. Saying the kind of the sounds natural, but when you're listening to it or you're watching it, it's almost unnatural.
Yeah.
So the weird thing, like if I'm cutting narration or you're, telling actors how to do dialogue on stage, it's almost like you're trying to teach them to do something unnatural to make it sound natural.
And it's almost like it becomes so hard not to say they're focusing so hard on that they lose the magic of the importance of why that phrase is being said.
Yep.
It's a challenge every single day.
I challenge other people out there who are watching, try to notice how often in conversations, just when you're talking to people, how much you say ums or hms or something like that. All right, so one question I'm going to ask, put you a little on the spot here. Directing or acting, what's the pros and cons in each? Which would you almost prefer? I understand you had a little less experience with directing than you did acting, but that'd be pros and cons to each, probably.
Well, pros to acting, it's all about you, really. Like
sometimes the spotlight is literally on you.
And that's kind of a con to the director is it's not about you. It's about the story. And you have to put, you can't say, I made this. This is my, magnum opus. You have to step aside so that way the story can really tell the narrative that you want. And that's the part that I really like about directing. And I would say another pro to directing is you have to use your skills as an actor to place the actors and to help guide them. But one thing that I enjoy about actors in general is they teach me things. Actors would teach me, something that I thought would be really fluid is kind of a little bit jerky, but we can work through that. But it's not really a very A to B list, but jumping about. Another pro to being an actor, every night it's the same show. It's very dependable and nothing shocking, at least nothing shocking should happen. Nothing unaccounted for should happen on stage. And that's also very, very scary as a director.
Should happen and does happen. Very rarely actually end up being the same thing. I don't know how to really transition to this, but the plot twist and the aliens. Yes. So aliens. Something I was talking to you about before we started recording was how I'm a big sci-fi guy. I'm already always interested and love your guys' shows. It doesn't take a lot to pitch me to get me interested and go to them. When I heard there was aliens, I was like, sign me up. I am there. Now, for those of you who've seen the show, the aliens don't come till the last 30 seconds or something, last 2 minutes, something like that. Yeah. So what was that? Did you tell some of your actors beforehand that they were aliens, or was it that they were reading it on the? So what was the first read through like?
The first read through was chaotic. It was so much laughter, so much giggles, and we get to this big cathartic scene where they finally defeat this giant monster that's been attacking them and eating them, and then they realize that their hard work, they thought they had discovered fire through their own hard work and determination, but nope, it was aliens. They didn't do anything. And
it was like the weirdest X-Files episode.
Yeah, kind of. It was it's a giant spoiler. So one of the tribe members.
It's okay. The play came out like months ago. We can spoil it.
It's your
here.
fault.
Yeah, if you didn't see it, we're sorry, but not sorry.
So one of the tribe members who was living among them reveals themselves, because they're referred to it as it in the play. They reveal themselves as Chorn. They are Chorn. That is all they are. They're just Chorn.
It's the only line.
Yeah, that's all they say. And this big sequence comes on where they rip off their tunic, take off their unibrow, and they are just there standing in their alien glory. And then they sing their song titled I Am Chorn. And then Chorn goes and blesses these primitive cavemen with the history of human knowledge. And then from that point on in the show, it is their opportunity to change the course of humanity. But clearly they didn't do a good job if you know
you know what I just realized that scene is? It's basically the ending of Indiana Jones 4. Where the alien shows up and tries to give the knowledge to the Russian. It turns out a lot better for them than it did in Indiana Jones 4. But that just occurred to me. But, okay, so yeah, the actress playing Chorn, Taylor Benson, so what was she like through that first read-through? Like you said, her only line for 99% of this play is Chorn. And then all of a sudden, just like that, she's an alien.
Taylor, I believe she had seen the show before, and
so she already knew.
Yeah, she couldn't contain her excitement. She knew the whole time, but she was a good sport, and she didn't
spoil it.
She didn't spoil it. No,
great.
I made it a point to be like, you please don't just please don't read it or watch the show on YouTube until our read through. I promise. And it's actually gotten to the point now where I look back at the original production and I kind of cringe because it's like they're not doing what I tell them to.
Okay, so finally, you've jumped through all the hoops, all the drama, literally, drama department. I'm sorry. I'm probably going to cut that pun later. All the highs and lows. Opening night comes. It's at this point, all this preparation, and it's just, you kind of have to let the reins go and let the chariot drive itself. What are some of the thoughts going through your mind?
So, to be honest, I was crying before opening night. I was in the scene shop freaking out because I thought everyone would hate it and it would be a trash dumpster fire of a mistake. But I got some kind words from Professor Michael Enns, and it really just helped me kind of keep a level head and think, okay, there's no turning back now, but I really just gotta, whatever happens, and I just gotta let the show run its course. And my main bit of concern was that I had the whole production week leading up to the first performance. I was like, I don't need a director's statement. Like, the show speaks for itself. But then it got to the night of, actually 15 minutes before the show opened, and I'm like, oh my God. But after all that being said, the show went really well. The energy was all there. The audience was great. They interacted, they laughed, and they suspended disbelief. You know, they allowed the show to play on, and no one emerged from their seats angry trying to but it was awesome. And then we actually managed to sell out 2 shows, and it was incredible, and I couldn't believe that it was something that actually happened. Still have a hard time believing it. Like, no, that never happened.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember I went to the last night or matinee of showing. It was the last performance. And even then, that was, you talk about a sellout crowd. I checked. Every seat was filled except for one. And like you said, the crowd was just into it. And they were allowing themselves to be in this wacky sort of fun environment. And you mentioned before just kind of it all kind of coming to you right before, like 15 minutes before. Like I said, it really is like months of preparation for like an hour of just sitting there like, are people liking this? And it's something you have to go through multiple nights. So just to reassure you, I loved it. From everyone I've seen, loved it. You did a fantastic job. I hope to see you in other productions and other things you'll direct and create here with Peter and the Starcatcher, which is coming up. And I think it was a great performance.
Yeah, thank you so much. That means a lot.
And that sound means it is time for the curtain call. I would once again like to thank Mary Jean Porter for coming out here and talking with me about Firebringer. Let's talk about Peter and the Starcatcher, though, again. Again, just a real fun show. This is a character I'm very fond of, very looking forward to see on stage. Looking forward to any kind of entertainment now that brings me some real childish wonder. It reminds me of the good old days when I was young watching Peter Pan. So you're going to want to check that out. Again, some of the dates to look forward to that are on November 6th, 7th, 13th, and 14th, and those will be 7:30 p.m. showtimes, as well as 2 o'clock matinees on November 14th and the 15th. Mary, what else is going on in the drama department? What else can we look forward to?
So the Take Two improv troupe has been really lucky to be able to continue performances into this year, and we are able to perform on the main stage. And so our next performance will be November 9th at 8:30 p.m. And we are undecided about our theme for this one, but we are in between Pilgrims and Spooky Thanksgiving.
Either way, I'll be there. The Take Two improv troupe is some of the funniest stuff in Southwest Minnesota, if you ask me. So I'll definitely be looking forward to that. That'll do it for this episode of Peek Behind the Curtain. Once again, check out Peter and the Starcatcher and Take Two Improv. Be on the lookout for their future shows. Thank you again, Mary G. Porter, for coming here and talking to me about Firebringer. It was a really great conversation, I think, for a really great production. For myself and Mary, I'd like to thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time when we take a peek behind the curtain.